No one expected it. A love story once called perfect is now falling apart before the world's eyes. 4 years, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman were Hollywood's golden couple. Red carpet smiles, laughter, and moments that made people believe in true love. But what the world saw was only half the truth. It all began with a single photograph. Keith Urban, dressed casually, walking down a quiet Nashville street, beside a woman no one recognized. The photo spread like wildfire. Headlines screamed, "Keith Urban spotted with mystery woman." Some said it was just a fan. Others whispered, this could be the end of Keith and Nicole's marriage. First, both stayed silent. No posts, no comments, no denials. But that silence only made the rumors louder. Soon, fans started digging into old interviews, searching for tiny signs of trouble. A look, a pause, a distant smile. Social media exploded. And then, one insider dropped a single sentence that shook the internet. Keith and Nicole have been living separate lives for months. No confirmation, no statement, but enough to make the world believe the fairy tale was over. Behind the scenes, the truth was quietly taking shape. Keith had changed. Friends noticed he was distant, quieter, tired. In interviews, when someone mentioned Nicole, his smile seemed forced. Nicole, too, had become more reserved, focused on her work, always traveling, always busy. What once was time apart for their careers had turned into distance. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Conversations grew short and polite, the kind couples have when love turns into habit. Their friends saw it first. The sparkle was gone. The laughter replaced by silence. They weren't fighting. They weren't angry. They were just fading. To the world they still looked perfect, holding hands for photos, smiling at events. But behind the glamour, something fragile was breaking. The first real clue came during an interview. A journalist asked Keith about his future with Nicole. For just a second he hesitated. That pause said everything. A few weeks later, Nicole appeared at a film festival alone. People said it was just work. But everyone started connecting the dots. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't betrayal. It was quiet exhaustion. Two hearts that had simply stopped trying. Their lawyers handled everything behind closed doors. No drama. No statements. Just silence. And that's why the world never saw it coming. But after the papers were signed, something new began. Keith Urban was seen again. Not on stage, not in an interview, but sitting at a small Nashville cafe. Across from a woman no one had seen before. She wasn't famous. Not a model. Not an actress. Real. Someone who carried quiet peace in her eyes. Within hours, tabloids erupted again. Keith Urban spotted with mystery woman again. Her name soon surfaced. Lena Hayes. A music producer known for her honesty and small-town roots. Not a celebrity, but deeply respected in the music world. People who knew her described her as grounded, loyal, and brutally truthful. Years ago, she had even worked with Keith on a charity project, a detail almost everyone had forgotten. And just like that, the story shifted from heartbreak to curiosity. Who was Lena Hayes? Was she the reason behind Keith and Nicole's split? Or was she something else entirely? Weeks passed. Rumors grew. Every headline screamed the same question. Who is Lena Hayes? Then, one afternoon, cameras surrounded her outside a Nashville studio. Reporters shouted, "Lena, are you Keith Urban's new girlfriend? Did you know Nicole personally? Were you part of their breakup?" Lena didn't panic. She didn't hide. Calmly, she said one sentence that silenced everyone. "You all think you know their story, but you don't. Not everything you see is the truth." That moment went viral. Every channel replayed it. Talk shows debated it. What did she mean? Was she defending Keith? Exposing Nicole? Or just tired of lies? No one knew. But her quiet confidence said more than words ever could. For the first time, the world began to question the perfect image of Nicole Kidman. For over a decade, Nicole had been the picture of elegance, Flawless, graceful, adored. But now, people looked back at her interviews differently. That perfect smile. Maybe too perfect. That calm tone. Maybe controlled. In one clip, when Keith joked about disagreements, Nicole quickly interrupted. "We never fight." At the time it sounded loving. Now it sounded like denial. Even the media, once protective of her image, began printing cautious headlines. Nicole's marriage under question. Lena Hayes breaks her silence. Truth behind Hollywood's golden couple. Behind closed doors, Nicole reportedly became withdrawn. She cancelled interviews. Smiled less. Looked tired. Keith stayed silent, pouring his heart into music, writing songs rumored to reflect his pain and truth. Meanwhile, Lena's calm honesty split the internet in two. Some called her brave, the woman who finally spoke truth to power. Others called her a homewrecker, an outsider trying to ruin a star's image. But those who knew Lena understood. She wasn't chasing fame. She was protecting someone who had suffered silently for years. Then came the twist no one saw coming. A Nashville journalist dug through old concert archives and found Lena's name listed as an assistant producer for a charity event hosted by Keith and Nicole 7 years ago. She had been there, behind the stage, the night the couple had reportedly fought for the first time in public. People who were present remembered Keith walking off stage in frustration. And Lena. She was the one who quietly followed to calm him down. That's when whispers began. Had Lena seen something? Something that changed how she saw Nicole forever. Over the years, Lena stayed silent, never speaking of what she'd witnessed. But after Keith's quiet suffering and the media's harsh judgment, she couldn't stay quiet anymore. When she finally spoke in a recorded interview, her voice was calm, not angry, not bitter, just honest. She said, "People see the red carpet and the smiles, but they don't see the silence behind closed doors. Sometimes love ends quietly, not because of betrayal, but because of pain that's never spoken out loud." Her words struck deep. This wasn't a scandal, it was heartbreak. Lena wasn't exposing secrets for attention. She was defending truth, the kind that fame often hides. And in that moment, the world finally began to understand. Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman's story wasn't about villains or victims. It was about two people who loved deeply, but lost themselves along the way. Today, both Keith and Nicole continue their lives separately. Still successful, still admired, but changed forever by a love story that ended not with anger, but with silence.